Welcome to Intentional Divorce Insights. I'm Leah Hadley, certified divorce financial analyst, accredited financial counselor, and the founder of Intentional Divorce Solutions. I'll be your guide through the complexities of divorce, finance, and emotional wellness. Join me as we uncover practical tips and empowering insights to help you navigate your divorce with clarity and intention. Hi there, and welcome back to Intentional Divorce Insights. I am so happy that you are here with us today. You are right where you need to be. I have a wonderful guest to introduce you to. This is Amy Capello, and she is an award-winning life balance strategist. So we're going to talk more about what that means. She's a certified productivity coach, author, and speaker. Her mission is to guide people in reducing chaos and creating balance through her unique whole life balance system, which goes beyond the traditional work-life balance approach. Amy is also a mom, a stepmom, a wife, nature enthusiast, solo world traveler, and stage 3 inflammatory breast cancer survivor. She provides free coaching and mentoring to single mothers through her volunteer work with Shelter from the Rain. She has also been an active volunteer with the Thai Sea Turtle Project since 2007. In recognition of her impact, Amy was honored with the 2024 Remarkable Woman Award and named a 2024 Leader of Impact. Her dedication to service and expertise in life balance makes her a trusted coach, advocate, and change maker. Welcome, Amy. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate being here today.
It is my absolute pleasure. And our audience does often want to know a little bit about our guests' experience with divorce, because obviously that's what they're going through.
Of course.
So tell us, Amy, just a little bit about your personal experience. You don't have to go in too deep.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I am divorced and remarried. So I got married, oh gosh, it was ancient years ago, 2006. I think that's right. If I'm wrong, but I was 24 years old and married a sweetheart from college. And we were married for 8.5 years. We have a son together. And when my son was less than 2, we ended up going through a divorce. And so we've been co-parenting ever since then. That was in 2015. So I actually realized just the other day that in 2 months, it will be 10 years since I've been divorced, which is just wild to think that I've been divorced longer than I was married. That time just flew by. But I'm also remarried. Last October, I celebrated my 5-year anniversary with my now husband. And enjoying life.
I had no idea how many parallels there were in our stories, Amy. So I also got married very young. I think I was 23, not 24. I was married for 10 years, and my children were also very young when we went through our divorce. Yeah. So.
I love
it. Well, divorce is a major life reset. So what are some of the common boundary challenges that you see people who are facing divorce? And and why do so many people struggle with them?
Yeah. So, right. In my work being a balance strategist, right. A big part of balance are boundaries. And I think we have all probably heard what a boundary is. We know what a boundary is, as a culture. That's something that we've kind of adopted and we have a working understanding of. But it's really funny because how those boundaries apply and what they look like, that's lost on us sometimes, right? And my son actually saw his therapist this week, and it was funny because he came out with a printout of boundaries, and I was like, oh, I love that he's learning this, at 11 years old. And all of the different types of boundaries that we have around conversation, around time, internal boundaries that we have for ourselves. And the list goes on: physical boundaries, emotional, mental, right? There's a lot of them. But, when we're going through divorce, our life is out of balance, right? The existence that we knew for however long it was, whether it was short or long term, has been turned upside down. And sometimes that's more dramatic than other times, but it's been turned upside down and things are out of balance. So in times like that, I've noticed where we're feeling overwhelmed or exhausted or just things may be out of our control more normally than they usually are, right? More than they normally are. is when we need boundaries even more. That's when we need to adopt that even more and bring that into our life even more. It's not a time to abandon them because it's just too hard. It's a time to actually like 10 toes down, stand firm, and have a foundation there, right? And that is going to be different for every person, but it's okay to say, my normal boundary for my self-care, let's just use that as an example, was that, I get a massage once a month, right? And that's a boundary I had to protect my energy and my health. Well, maybe now it needs to be 2 times a month if you can financially afford it, right? Or maybe it needs to be the once a month I can still afford, but I'm going to take another half day off a month because I need time for myself and I'm going to go walk around the park, right? Like whatever it is, sometimes we need to make those adjustments to our boundaries and what we're sticking to. But it just takes us acknowledging that, being honest about it, and giving ourselves permission to do it.
I love that so much, to really think about how you can proactively, right, create those supports for yourself, especially when you are going through such a difficult life transition.
100%.
Now, many high achieving women are used to overcommitting at work, in relationships, and even in their personal healing, quite frankly. How can they redefine their priorities without feeling like they're dropping the ball?
Absolutely. So when we are overcommitting, right? Like overcommitting means I'm already doing too much. I've already overed the commitment, right? And there can be a pull when we're going through divorce that we need to prove something.
That's right.
And we might be feeling like we need to prove it to our ex that we are good and they're losing something, right? Like, or we might need to prove it to our children if we have kids that like, I'm still a good mom and everything's going to be okay and nothing's going to change and you're still valuable and I'm still here for you, right? Or it may be that we need to prove something to ourselves. Okay. I know I went through that. I went straight from college where I lived with a roommate to living with my boyfriend who turned into living with my husband to divorce was the first time I lived by myself. And I had a less than 2-year-old kid with me, right? And it was like, whoa, brother, like we're gonna figure this out together, right? Like it was different. And I felt like I had to prove to myself, that I could do this, right? And a lot of times when we're trying to do that, we end up committing even more. Okay, well, as a mom, I was, taking you out to dinner once a week so we could have mom-kid time, but now we're doing it 3 times a week. Right? Or, I used to read you a book to go to sleep on Friday and Saturday night because I had capacity, but now we're doing it every night, right? Because I've got to prove to you that I'm still there for you. And I've got to prove to you that I'm a good mom. And it just turns into more and more and more overcommitment. This is a time and space where we can say to ourselves, my life is going to look totally different now. What are my priorities? And there's no right or wrong. You don't have to feel guilty about it. If your priority you need to move higher up in your priority, maybe, right, than you were before. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But stepping back and saying, for the healthiest version of myself, for the best version of myself, what does it need to look like for me? If you have kids, for your kids, and then just for your life structure, and then just sit with it. What comes up, right? So I'll give you a personal example. I mourned a loss of my future, right? So leading up to divorce, and I was the one who chose to leave my husband. So leading up to that, I mourned the loss of my husband. But by the time we got to the divorce process, I had mourned that. That was done. Then I had to mourn like, oh, my life isn't going to look the way I thought it was going to look, right?
That's right.
And so I sat with it and I'm like, well, if I died tomorrow, what would I regret? And I knew I was a good mom. I wouldn't regret the mom I was. I was a fantastic employee at the time. I wouldn't have regretted how I showed up at my job. My finances were in order. Wouldn't have regretted that. I would have regretted that I didn't travel more. That's what came up. And at first I felt guilty about it. And then I was like, actually, no, this is a core part of who I am. I didn't do that a lot in my marriage because my ex didn't want to travel like I wanted to travel. So I booked a solo trip to Peru and I went and saw Machu Picchu by myself. I don't speak Spanish. Right? But it felt so good to say that's going to be a priority for me. And I have permission to do that. And I actually show up better as a human, better as an employee, better as a mom, better as me when I allow that to be a priority.
I love that so much. And so many of my clients, when they are kind of grieving well, whether it's a divorce or like you're talking about future plans, a lot of them are grieving loss of those travel dreams. That is an area where a lot of people feel like, well, now I don't have this partner, so I'm not able to do this. And I love what you were sharing, Amy, about going and doing it for yourself and doing it on your own. What was that experience like?
Oh my gosh, it was absolutely terrifying. Right, thank God for Google Translate. It was absolutely terrifying. But it was also very empowering. Like, I can't imagine, so I was at like 31, 32-ish, and having never internationally traveled solo. I had done international travel, but never solo, as a woman in a foreign speaking language country where I don't speak that language. But I'm a planner, like I'm a spreadsheet girly, like I've got everything linked and organized. So everything was, yeah, everything was in place. Everything was solid. And so when I arrived, I remember my driver was outside the airport in Cusco, Peru. And he was holding up my sign. I was like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. Right? And I took a selfie with him. I said, I need to text my dad, right? I might be in my 30s, but like my mom and dad are like, whoa, so I sent them a picture and I'm like, I'm safe. I'm good. Right. And I had all the supports to make sure that I was going to be safe. But I just, even traveling solo, and that's a whole other conversation I could talk about for hours, but I connected with people. I had lunch with families from all over the globe at the top of Machu Picchu. There's a restaurant there associated with the hotel. We all had lunch together, right? And we took photos together. Like it was such a beautiful experience that if it had just been me and a partner, I would have just been talking to them, and that might not have happened, and not might have happened in the same way. But I also just got to show up as me. I got to eat what I want, go where I wanted, do what I wanted, and know that I could do it. So if any, especially women, are listening and you're worried about your own like ability, feel free to shoot me a message. I will talk to you about traveling all day long, but like find ways that can help you know that you can stand on your own 2 feet. And for me, it was traveling to another country, and I've never looked back. I'm married again and still travel solo because it was so much fun and I love it that much.
That is awesome. That is so wonderful. And for those who are listening, I actually have several people in my network who plan travel specifically for women post-divorce. So reach out if you need a connection. Certainly, solo travel is another option, but there's just, so many options to allow those dreams to continue to happen, regardless of whether or not you are divorced or married or
I love
whatever.
it. I love it.
So, Amy, emotional boundaries can be really tricky, especially when we're talking about co-parenting and we're talking about ex-partners, and quite frankly, even when we're talking about well-meaning family and friends. What mindset shifts or strategies help people protect their energy and peace?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this comes down to self-awareness. So if you can reflect on your own and say, or with a therapist, right? But like developing that self-awareness that when this person said this thing, when this person did this thing, when this person didn't do that thing, I felt some kind of way about it. When we can own that, when we can be vulnerable enough with ourselves to be like, that triggered me, that got the best of me, that, that worked its way into me and I thought about it, it held way more mental and emotional space than I would want it to. That actually is it's very revealing. I have found that people are mirrors for us, right? And so when we're feeling a way, we're really being mirrored to ourselves on what we need to work on, right? Other people are going to be other people. We can't control them. We can't change them. We can't manipulate them, not forever, right? To the way that we want them to be. And so we have to say, okay, if they're going to be who they are, what do I need to do to be me, and keep myself in a healthy place, right? So when I get upset about something, oftentimes I'm very valid in my feelings. I have a right to be upset. The thing that was done was really crappy, right? Or a ball got dropped that was a really crappy ball to drop. And especially when Hmm. Especially when it affects my child. Like
Right.
that's the fastest way to get me triggered is when it deals with
Right.
my kid, right? Like that's the fastest way to get to me is through my child. Then it's like then I feel that and this is where it's tricky, right? That it's not I'm not being self-reflective, right? I'm defending my kid, right? Well, no, it's still me reacting.
Right.
It's still me reacting, right? And so I use a lot of strategies that are helpful. Non-response. My therapist taught me this, so I can't claim this, but my therapist is a genius, and she taught me no response is a response.
Yes,
No response is a
absolutely.
response, right? And so learning that my power and my confidence and my strength lie in how I regulate me, not how I regulate the world around me, has allowed me to be like, I actually don't need to respond to that text message. Or this is one I love. That's not my job. That's not my job, right? So when I've given you all the information and you say, hey, send me this. I already did it before. That's not my job. I don't need to do that again. But I don't even communicate that. I just don't say anything and let you figure it out, right? And that may be an ex, but that could be anybody, right? That could be a coworker. That could be a partner. That could be anybody. And it is my job to communicate. It is my job to provide information. It is my job to show up well. It is my job to be a partner to the extent that I can. And outside of that, I protect myself mentally and emotionally by knowing, again, where that boundary is of what is and isn't my job and being vulnerable enough to say, that triggered me. What do I need to do on my end to mirror back what I want from this situation?
So important. Now, in your bio, you talked about whole life balance
Yeah.
rather than just work life balance. How does that concept apply to somebody who might be rebuilding after a divorce? Um, First of all, just talk to us a little bit about what that concept is.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't believe that work-life balance exists. It just doesn't exist. That's why nobody has it. Right? Like if you look around, everybody's like, I'm trying. I'm working towards it. I want it. Like no one, and I use it in my marketing because it's a phrase that everybody uses, but like it doesn't exist. It's not real, right? So the phrase that I use is whole life balance because we don't fit into two buckets. Like life is part in work, right? Like at work, we if you have a team or if you work with a team, like we celebrate birthdays together. We help each other go through divorces. We know people have bad days and we need to like maybe buy them lunch or whatever. Like it's life. Like we life at work, right? And then we go and do life and we're thinking about work, right? Those two are not mutually exclusive. And also there's a whole lot more to me. It work-life balance almost gives the impression that half of my existence as a human needs to be work and half is everything else. When in reality, work should be this and all of this should be this. Lumping life together means we forget, and it's easy to get lost in my relationship, in my children, in my home, in my finances, in myself, in my fun, in my joy, in my sorrow, in my free time, in my gardening, in my hiking, in my travel. Like there's so much, right? That if we just say life, then we're like, well, life got full with my kids.
Yeah.
Right? That bucket's full with my kids. And so everything else just kind of gets forgotten. Whereas if we think about our existence as whole, and each one of those things is a bucket, it's so much easier to be like, dang, like my kid bucket is full, but my self bucket is like this, right? And then we can actually start to take an approach to balance that allows for all of who we are, ourselves as a whole human, to be taken into consideration.
So, what are some of the first steps to creating something that is sustainable and fulfilling as far as that balance goes?
Yeah, absolutely. So, something that I love doing with my clients and I love doing in workshops is I actually will give people, like in a workshop, a worksheet with buckets, like pictures of little buckets. And I ask for everybody to just label the buckets. Label the buckets. What are the pieces of your life? And some people have more or less, different label. It really doesn't matter. Like whatever it is, there's no right or wrong. Just whatever your buckets are. like, I hate gardening. Gardening would actually never be a bucket for me. I'm really good at killing plants. I'm not good at keeping them alive. So we label our buckets, right? And then the first step, once the buckets are labeled, is to think about how much in a percentage of time, effort, and energy you're putting into each bucket. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker. Each one of us is 100% a person. You're not 110% a person.
That's right.
You're 100% a person. No more, no less. You're not even 50% a person. You're 100% a person, right? So your bucket has to add up to 100%. It can't be more than that. And just doing that alone is like, holy crap, my partner bucket was getting like 1%. I thought it was more. It feels like more. But in reality, when I see the 100% totaling up, my partner bucket was getting 1%. My self bucket was getting 5%, right? Like whatever it shakes out to be, but just do that. And that will help the scales fall off of our eyes 9 times out of 10. And then you can say, okay, how do I want my buckets to look? How do I want my buckets to look? And allocate that 100% of you the way you want it to be. Do you want 30% to be going to your partner? Do you want 50% to be going to you? Right? And then what do you need to do to create that? And that's a whole other thing. But what do you need to do to create that? That's a great first step. Start with the buckets.
I love that. It's so practical and so simple, right?
Yes. It's so eye-opening.
Yeah, when you're going through something that's so overwhelming, I mean, that really is what you need. Just practical, simple, I love that so much. Now, Amy, you have a way for people to connect with you for free. Talk to us about that.
Yes, absolutely. So I have what is called my VIP, very important person, Balance Collective. It's a group of individuals that are all working towards balance in their lives. And it's a fun, sometimes irreverent, often full of cuss words place to be. And that lands in your inbox every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Only and exclusively for my VIP Balance group are we having free coaching, quarterly masterclasses at no cost whatsoever, tips, strategies, journal prompts, open conversations, and very frequently we also have prizes and contests. So if we're working on a particular subject or strategy, I'll ask for people to email me back what they're working on. And if you email me back, you get entered into a drawing. I just gave away a $25 gift card a week ago. So we have a great time in there. It's a lot of fun. It's a wonderful community. And I would love to invite anybody that wants to be in there.
That is such a wonderful resource, and we will include a link in the show notes so you all can find your way there. But really, what an awesome opportunity to take advantage of. Amy, where can people find you online?
Yes, so you can find me, Amy Capello, on LinkedIn, or you can follow all of the Pure Joy Life Coaching handles on Instagram and on Facebook. And if you want to connect with me personally on Facebook as well, please feel free to do that. Just look for Amy Capello and I'll pop right up.
Fantastic. Amy, again, I really appreciate your wisdom, your practical tips. This has been such a joy.
Thank you so much. I love this conversation. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And for our listeners, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for joining me on Intentional Divorce Insights. It's a privilege to share this time with you. I hope each episode offers valuable guidance to navigate your journey. If you find our content helpful, please leave a review to help others discover the benefits of intentional decision-making in divorce. Until next time, take care and continue to embrace your path with intention.